Well, howdy folks, welcome back. Today, been a while since I've been with you, and I apologize for that, but it's just been a busy time, a lot going on, and I got some things I'm going to try to get done today, most of which revolve around using the old Massey 135 here and my 6-foot Bushhog, and I'm going to be using it to sort of take a look at this field out here, try to get this thing kind of knocked out. It's the time of year when you have to mow a lot. You got to mow frequently, and that's okay. There's a lot to get done. Now, as I said, there's a lot to get done. You can see the grass here it's probably 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall in some spots. And I'm going to try to fence this in this summer and have a couple, probably 4 or 5 cows out here, some steers, really, just feeder calves. Some stuff, just put something on the land and hopefully keep the land looking better. Add some nutrients to it and some biological types of updates or upgrades, I should say. So we need some biomass in here. I've just been mowing it because for a while it was grown up, had a lot of weeds, and by mowing it, keeping it cut short, the weeds are pretty much all gone. Got a good stand of grass, looks really nice. So today I'll take you with me. And I had to take the Massey Ferguson 50 out of the loop. You see, I got a lot of projects here. I got a tiller here for a good friend of mine. I got to get restored. I got another tiller I want to try to sell. I got another tiller I need to part out. I got a Alice Chalmers CA up there that I have to really do some work on. But my 50 is sitting back over here behind my 48 Ford pickup truck, and need to work on. I think it either has a rear main seal leak or it has a leak in the hydraulic hose for the multi-power. Either way, I want to get that done. So I'm not going to mess with that now. Right now, I'm going to press my 135 with the Perkins gas engine into service. Got it all serviced up. I've got my 6-foot Bushhog serviced up. We're going to put this thing to work and see what we can get done. I will take you along for some of this. And not something you haven't seen before, but something that I like to share anyway. Well, as so often happens, the whole day started getting away from me. And I got quite a bit of this done. There's Riley, my girl Riley. That's my girl Maggie. Come on, Ollie. They got away from me because this morning I had to take this dog to the vet. This is my dog Ollie. She's been sick. She has some sort of anemia, autoimmune related anemia. Stopped eating, didn't eat very much for about 3 weeks, lost 17 pounds, and finally, Maggie, yell from my other dog here, finally determined that her red blood cell count was just dropping like a stone, and got her on a heavy dose of doxycycline, I think it was called, and prednisone, and weekly complete blood check there, CBC. Come on, Riley, let's go. And now she's back up to 55 pounds, so she's gained 7 pounds back, I think. Doing well. Got this much of it mowed, not all by any stretch of the imagination, but this much mowed, and I try to keep this mowed. As I said, it keeps the weeds down, put some organic matter back in the soil, and I'm going to be trying to put some cattle out here to help a little bit with that as well. So the dogs like to take a walk, and we're going to get that done. And then I've got some music to play tonight, so that'll wrap up today pretty quickly, and I'll try to get back at it tomorrow. I'll try to bring you along and show you what we're doing tomorrow. Do a little bit more of this and whatever amount of work there is. Got work coming up later this week on probably my Jeep, repairing the rear bumper on that Jeep, and then I'm going to start on the engine for the 69 F250. Got the gaskets, and I'm going to start tearing that apart, taking a look at that 390. So I'll try to get that going here soon. Well, it's another day, and I had planned on finishing up my mowing today in my field. Played some music last night, had to quit early, and so had to put the 135 up. I planned on doing that, but the way things work, I don't have enough parking to park everything in single file, so I end up stacking them up in my carport here, in my shed. And here's what I found this morning. Now, if it looks like this is, a situation gone bad, batteries out of the tractor and so forth and so on, that's because it is. It came out this morning, started to start the tractor. It turned over. Everything was fine initially. Then it wouldn't start. I started to hit the glow plug, and it was warm. I figured I might not need the glow plug, but I started to hit it, and when I hit the glow plug switch and then tried to start it, nothing. It didn't try to start. So I checked the battery. It has over 12 volts, 12.5 volts. Put another battery in it, 12.5 volts. And now, I don't know that you'll see this. Yeah, it won't work. So if I turn the switch on, there's nothing. Now I hear something clicking in the dash. Don't know what it is. I've had the starter off. I cleaned the starter, took a look at it. The solenoid works. It will engage the Bendix, push the gear out. It's possible that starter, I cleaned it, took a good look at it, but the starter, it's possible that it's just not going to function the way it needs to. At any rate, things have progressed to the point where I now have my manual out, and I'm going to take a look through this manual, the manual for the shop electrical system. I'm going to take a look through that and do some tests. I'll bring you along and kind of update you as we go. Well, I'm not going to say it's step one, but one of the steps is taking off what is called the switch panel. And you got 2 bolts here, you got 2 on the top around the steering column here, 2 on the other side, and you have 2 here on this big bracket. The one that goes on the ones that go into the big bracket here in the center, 12 millimeters. Everything else is 10 millimeter. And one of those holds up the bracket for the engine shut off over there. At any rate, a lot of dust. I'm going to blow this all out, clean the back side of the panel, check my switch and tighten all that up. But I'm supposed to do some checking on this 4-pin switch here, or a 4-pin plug, to look for some things. So I'm going to begin that process. I'll bring you back and talk about what I'm looking for and what I find once I kind of dig my way into this. Okay, so the main power that comes from the battery comes through this red cable here, a red wire here. It's going to be right there where I have this connected. And so we're going to be looking for 12 volts. You can see we have our voltage right there. So that connection is fine. We know we've got power to the switch. Okay, next we want to measure resistance from the center post here on the ignition switch to each of the other positions. And the best way to do that, I think, is to just connect one of your terminals to the red, one of your leads to the red, to the post here on the connector for the red wire, and then check the others. I've done that, and there's absolutely no continuity, so we have infinity there, nothing for us to worry about. So the switch apparently is good. All right, so next you're supposed to check resistance across each of those, from starting with resistance between the main power, which is going to again be the red wire. So the main power is going to be this connector right here in this case, the one here on the lower left corner, and each of the other three should be infinity when it's in the off position, so you shouldn't have any continuity whatsoever. I don't. Then you turn the switch on, you measure it, should be 0 ohms, so it should be a good connection, should have connectivity. I do, 0 ohms is questionable. It has a little reading here and there, but I don't know that that matters. As long as you're making contact, probably you're going to be good. In the start position, same thing. I do have some continuity there, and I do have continuity for the preheat glow plug as well. So we're good, and now we got to figure out what's next. All right, next we measure between it's really the connector, the powered connector. This goes to the battery, the positive on the battery. So it's the positive post on your starter solenoid and a ground. There we go. So I've got the negative on the meter in a bolt hole there, so it's grounded to the chassis. And I have 12.5 volts. So I'm getting voltage to the solenoid on the starter. And although I already had this off and cleaned it a bit, that bushing is rough and nothing turns very freely. So I'm thinking it's pulling too much current. At any rate, we're going to test this off the tractor here and see what we got going on. All right, here we are. So I'm not going to do this, but if you connect you can see where I have done it. If you connect your ground, the negative here, and touch your positive here, it should spin the starter motor. My starter motor spins fine, no trouble. So this is disconnected from my relay, or from my solenoid. You can connect your starter negative. I think the positive goes here, negative goes here, and just touch it. And if your Bendix comes down, if your actual starter gear comes down, the Bendix engages and pushes the gear out so that it would engage with your flywheel, then that's good. So far, starter motor checks good, solenoid checks good, everything right now is still checking good. I also checked the continuity between this S, the starter signal, and the body, and there's continuity there. So everything's checking good so far. All right, so the last test that I've done, or the most recent, is connecting the 12 volts from the battery to posts or terminals, 2 and 4 on the starter relay. 2 and 4 would be these two on the right side. You'll hear the relay click, and then you check for continuity on the left side, and there was continuity, so the relay closed. Relay seems to be good. I forgot to say it earlier, but if you're on the right side of the tractor, here's the operator's position. You pull this panel off, there's your starter relay right there. That's what I just checked with the 12 volts applied to see if it was closing as it should. Well, back at it again today. So mowed day before yesterday, started to mow some more yesterday. My Kubota wouldn't start. My 135 with the Bushhog is buried back here, so I spent yesterday afternoon troubleshooting my Kubota. Thought it was a dead battery, changed batteries, still didn't work. It did start once with the other battery. Then as I checked starter, I cleaned the starter. It was really dirty and really nasty. I cleaned it out, lubricated it, which it kind of needed anyway. But I kept working, and I noticed finally that I could hit the switch. It would, when I turned the key on, lights would come on, sometimes not. If they did come on when I hit the button, when I hit the switch to start it, it would click, go dead. So I checked everything, lights would go off and everything. Checked everything and traced it back to my ground strap on the battery, which didn't look bad, but I took everything apart and cleaned it, and I took the ground, which is just right there. That's the ground strap bolt. I took that out, cleaned that up, cleaned the strap itself, reattached it to the battery. Runs like a new tractor now. So knowing that I should have checked the ground first, I did not. So that means that I knew that I should have checked the ground first, but I didn't. And that's shame on me. Always check your ground, because the ground is probably your number one problem. I hardly ever have a problem with the ground, so the ground looked good, so I didn't really check it. It looked fine. Didn't see any corrosion, no evidence that it wasn't making connection. Battery was old. I checked it, it looked good. Tried a new battery, I actually hooked up a jumper, and it started right up. So I've obviously jostled that ground on the ground terminal on the battery enough to give it good contact. At any rate, I've cleaned the starter up. It starts much better than it ever has. Necessary anyway, got that done. Cleaned up the ground strap. Now it starts really well. In fact, if you want to hear how well it starts, let me see if I could get this done. I have to actually place it into neutral. I've got the bucket on the ground, so it should be good. Let me see. Let me just go ahead and set my stuff here, and I'll flip you around and show you how well it can start, just to give you an idea. So I got you flipped around here. This is how, listen to the starter now. It didn't sound this way before. It was kind of getting, it was struggling a lot. Nice. So that Hitachi starter is really nice. I love that. It's 100, I think the cheapest I found was 140 bucks for a new one. I don't need a new one, obviously. And troubleshooting it and continuing to look until I was sure that my problem was something, or sure what my problem was important. You can chase a problem like that forever. New battery, new starter, new relays, new switches, you know, all kinds of things. You can put a lot of money into one when it's the ground. So it was inexpensive in terms of dollars, expensive in terms of time. Let my struggle on that be something that helps you guys out. Check your ground first. If your battery's got 12 plus volts, you got power to the starter and all that type of thing. My big clue was when I hit that switch, it would come on and then it would click and all the lights would go dead. There's nothing else in the starter circuit except the battery, a 40 amp slow blow fuse, like a fusible link, the solenoid, and a relay. And everything checked out great, so I knew that I didn't have a problem there. And once I saw the lights go out, and I started messing with the ground terminal on the negative post, and saw that it would come back on and turn back on, turn back on, turn back off. Then I knew what my problem was, and I had to clean that up, and in doing so, much better starting tractor than I had before. So again, let my struggle be your windfall and help you kind of find the problem much sooner. Thanks for hanging out with me, I guess. We're going to move on to the next big project. This is my dog, Riley. How are you, Riley? You doing all right? Riley's a good old dog. She's probably 11 or 12 now. She's got some problems today. She's been sick and not eating too well. This is particularly troubling to us because we have another dog. We got these, she and her sister, I'm using air quotes, her sister came to us 6 years ago in July, and we adopted them as older dogs. They were 6, 7 years old, whatever. And so Ollie, I'll show you some videos of Ollie. Ollie, her sister, air quotes, has been sick for probably 2 months. She's stopped eating as well, and all kinds of tests, hundreds and hundreds of dollars in tests, perfectly healthy, except for her red blood cell count started dropping and continued to drop. She had hemolytic autoimmune anemia, I think is what it's called. At any rate, steroids, prednisone, oxycycline, I think it is the antibiotic that we used for Ollie. Ollie she dropped, I think, about 17 pounds in 4 or 5 months, really dropped most of that in about 2 months. She's now making a comeback. Her red blood cell counts are going back up. Her body's producing a lot of red blood cells, and so she's doing much better. Eating has gained back about 6 pounds and doing pretty well. Not herself, not the way she was before, but considering that she was going to die because she had stopped eating, she's doing much better. The joys of having pets. I love them, but their short lifespan, and the fact that they can't tell you what's going on in their lives kind of makes it rough sometimes. It's worth having them, though. I still love them. And just to show that I'm busy on things enough that I seem to not get done what I want to get done. Remember, I was going to mow grass yesterday. Ran into the problem with my Kubota. Got that working this morning. Just got it working. Went down to check on a sick hen that I have who's just kind of hanging out. She's not feeling very well. I gave her some electrolytes in her water and separated her from the others, because if you know anything about chickens, a sick chicken is a target. The others will pick on them. And I was looking at some new chicks that we have. We got about 12 new chicks, and their food, this is a hanging food basket. Hanging feeder, I guess you'd say. This is a hanging feeder, and this hanging feeder had broken loose. These are riveted in. A couple rivets on either side of these. They had broken, this one had broken, pulled through this little clip, and so I went and got my drill and drilled this out and put just a nut and a screw in it. And we are back in business again. Every day, almost every minute it seems, you have to fix something. Again, I'm not complaining because I love having the things I have, but you got to maintain a lot of things sometimes. And you have to keep finding, when you find a problem, you have to fix it at that point. And then you move on to the next thing. Now, I think I'm going to go and finish mowing my field that I have. Well, I'm sitting in my truck, my Ram, and this is my field, part of my field that I finished up yesterday thanks to figuring out the problem with my Kubota. Worked on this last evening and got it all whacked out there. So looks good, and that's an example of how you can persevere, I guess, in the face of adversity. But I love this this little spot right here. It used to be a tobacco field right here, and there was one across the road my family farmed when I was just a little kid. I barely can remember it. This one I remember we had a crop here. My dad had some health problems, and so my mom and older brother, we came out and we actually had a tobacco field right here, an acre of tobacco, which back at that time was kind of a common thing. Now it's hay or grass. I haven't ever harvested hay off of it myself. I used to let people harvest hay, but unless you put something back into the soil, all you do is just deplete your soil. I'm putting something back in now with the organic matter. I've been cutting and cutting and cutting, and it really looks good. So I'm ready for some cattle. Put a couple of cows in here, keep them in, just feeder steers that I can have for myself and my family. This is what this is going to be. I'll show you the other field here in a minute. Well, that's my haul of brush, things that have blown down all around the fence line. Take it up here and put it on my brush pile, and we'll see what happens next. Just another chore. My old 67 Massey 135. Just another tool. What a pretty day though. A little cloudy, but it's still beautiful. Well, as promised, here's the rest of my field. Mowed that off, got it all taken care of. On a pretty day here, looking at the mountains. It's been raining. I gotta mow some grass. Just working on some things with my little Kubota here. I got a lot of woods to clean up. Just looking at some of the down trees that I have, and got a pond I want to kind of fill in. It wasn't an original pond, it was just a low spot. So the low spot's all marshy, I got to fix that. But yeah, that's what it's all about. The field looks really nice. Mountains are beautiful today. Humid. Yeah, but I'm going to go out here. It's still wet, but I'm going to go mow because it's supposed to rain every day for the next week, and it's not going to get any drier if that's the case. So we get it done. Just wanted to let you see the finished product here, and you can see a lot of grass cut here. A really nice thatch in here that I have. So this is going to just really maturing nicely. Some cows. Put a little lime in here, and let that take it. Let it just work its course, and I'll have a really nice pasture for my feeders, and that's all I want. I'm not going to raise cows for other people. It's just for me, and have some steak, and that'll be good. All right, I think that wraps up this one. Endeavor to persevere.